Alrighty. What's up, guys? Welcome live here back to the podcast. I haven't done one of these live in a little while, but basically, what I thought I would do is, and by the way, let me know. Tap, 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 tap. Hold on. Let me just make sure 100% that this mic is working properly. And I know we have someone live. So, the person that's watching right now, we got Stevie. What's up, Steve? Can you comment? Can you hear me well on this microphone? How does the sound? Just comment down below. And that would be great so that I know that the sound and everything is working properly. If it's not working amazing, I can adjust it. You can hear me well? Should it be louder? Should it be softer? Let me know exactly how it sounds. Anyone else watching as well? Now there's several more people that are hopping on. Okay, great. So, what's up, guys? I'm basically just going to do a answering questions thing. So, if you guys have questions, you can type in the chat. But I'm also going to pull up some questions that I got recently in Discord. This is actually from Tribe Accelerator, the Tribe Accelerator Discord, and I also might go in the GCC Discord because a lot of people have been asking me questions there as well, and there's some of them that I haven't gotten to yet. But to start, I am going to go to. Wow, I got a lot of responses on a poll I did recently. So you guys know my friend Adam. I've been doing a lot of stuff with him recently. And Adam is someone who knows a ton about social circle and networking. And he actually he's going to be coming on to Tribe Accelerator. And this is like little known news. So I don't want to say too much about it, but we're basically partnering, and he's going to make some course videos in Tribe Accelerator, which is already a beast of a program. And now he's going to come in and add to it. And the thing with Adam that's cool, I think, is, he was making millions of dollars at 17 years old. But then he proceeded to spend millions and millions of dollars over the last several years, basically just living life to the complete fullest, like doing every sick thing you could possibly do, which when you do that, it teaches you a lot. You learn how to spend your money rather than just doing it like in an ineffective way. Like, for example, going to Monaco F1, where exactly do you stay? When you go to Europe in the summer, when you go to Ibiza, when you go to Saint-Tropez, like, what's the best way to do it? Do you get a hotel? Do you get a villa? How do you fly? Like, should you helicopter in? Like, all of these things. And so he knows a lot, like, he knows a lot about networking with high value people, obviously. But he also knows, especially, if you're someone that has money, how to spend it effectively. And so I basically did a poll, and I was like, how many of you guys, and this is in my program, Tribe Accelerator, in the course chat, I was like, who would like some modules from Adam? And it got like tons and tons of responses. You guys can see that's basically what it looks like. So let me see if I can pull up a couple questions. But in the meantime, as I do that, what is up to everybody in the chat? Just type something in the chat so I know you guys are here and active, and ask some questions. I can see it. It's literally right here. And so you can ask me questions live. Let's see. Crypto thoughts from Andrew. I mean, we're very likely in a bear market. I wouldn't consider myself a major crypto expert. I sold all my ADA like 7 months ago, 8, 9, 10 months ago now. I feel like what happens with crypto is there's a basic like IQ arch that happens where like you start and you hear about it and you're like, oh, it's a scam. And then you go, oh, Bitcoin, like I've heard of that. And a lot of people are talking about it. You're like, but I don't really have time to look into this. It seems too risky. Isn't that something that people only sell drugs with? Like, it's like a dark web activity. Then there's the click, and something happens where you realize like, oh shit, like this crypto thing is going to be big. And for me, I think the first thing was like, I realized, I think it was either just seeing how much money friends had made, but also understanding a bit of Web3. So it was like somewhere in the mix of like learning about Ethereum and learning about Cardano and learning about Polkadot and, all of these, Web3 layers. And I started, just learning more about them. And pretty soon I started watching some YouTubers, And I was like, wow, okay. Like I'm comparing like Ethereum and Polkadot and Cardano and Solana. And I'm like, yeah, this Charles Hoskinson guy really seems like he knows what he's talking about. And then what happens is you kind of go through these different, like you're trying to figure out what to invest. You maybe spend like 3 or 4 months. You listen to some podcasts. I was like big on the bankless train for a while. And I think my first bigger investment was in Cardano. And uh, I think I invested at like $1 or something like that. And it got all the way up to $3. And I was like, whoa, like 3x by, it multiplied my money very quickly. And then of course it crashed like pretty shortly after that. And then that's when I started realizing that Cardano has all the elements of like a major scam, which is just, I mean, I don't want to believe it is because there's so many people a part of this project and it just doesn't seem like it would really be that much of a scam. But I talked to some people that are very smart in the crypto space and they're like basically like, dude, like just invest in Ethereum. Like it is the network effects that Ethereum has is just far beyond um all of these other projects. And like the it has real world utility. Like yes, it's expensive to use, but so are most things when they're first released. Like back in when Tesla was first released, if you think about it, the first Teslas were very, very expensive. Now you can get a Tesla for what, like 35,000 US? It's not that expensive to get a Tesla these days. So then you start learning about Ethereum, you start seeing like the applications and how it could, transform education. You start to get very excited and you start investing, and then you have your first several like days where you're like, oh my God, this is terrifying. But then you develop thick skin and you're in the markets for a little and you're like, okay, I get it. And as someone, if you have like a cash flow business, you're kind of always making more and more money. So like seeing the crypto markets go up and down, you're like, it's going to get to 10K eventually or whatever, and so you don't really worry about it. But then what happens is you learn about Bitcoin, and it's kind of the one that you was the most boring the whole time, but you realize, oh shit, it actually makes a lot of sense. You maybe listen to people like I would definitely recommend listening to what's his name, the Bitcoin guy, Michael Saylor, obviously, but the guy who looks like a total Chad, uh, in a good sense. What's his name? Bitcoin. Robert Breedlove. Yeah, guy's a G. He he has some this guy. So if you watch this guy, Robert Breedlove, he's just very well spoken with all this, and I mean I watched a bunch of his stuff. I watched a bunch of like Bitcoin maxing type people, and uh, yeah, I learned a lot about Bitcoin, and basically just started dollar cost averaging it into Bitcoin every single day after that. And when we're in like a bear market like we are right now, I'll just maybe raise the amount that I'm putting money in. And yeah, I'm getting involved in GCC, so plan to learn a lot more. I wouldn't consider myself an expert by any means. I've been in crypto for just over a year or so. And so, I wouldn't take too much financial advice from me, but there's other things I can certainly help you guys with. But it seems like you guys are interested to hear me talk about it. So, which project are you most excited about in crypto? I mean, NFT wise, obviously GCC. I mean, since I'm in Inner Circle and on the board for that, it's and Iman is running it. It's just like what I am learning is you invest in founders, okay, and this applies to like really almost every investment. You got to invest in the people behind it because it's a business. Crypto project is people, and it makes so much sense. I've now seen friends launch projects and have made a shit ton of money in their with their NFT, like millions of dollars, but they've never ran anything before. So they launch it, and then all of a sudden they have millions of dollars, and like they kind of get too excited and they don't know how to manage it, and it's like running a business, and it just falls off. And I've seen a lot of projects just like completely fall to the wayside, and it just seems like it almost looks like a rug pull. It doesn't, and they don't mean to do it. It's just they have no idea what they're doing. Someone like Iman, for example, is obviously extremely experienced in being rich. And this like project is very clearly not a make money project, which is why it's going to make more money because, he's not trying to uh, just milk every dollar he can and provide no utility. He's already invested millions into a custom platform that's going to work from day one. And um and yeah, I mean, he like slashed the supply in half, which is another thing. Like, if he had more supply, obviously he'd probably make more money, but he's really making it like exactly how he wants it himself and how he thinks it would provide the best utility to the small community that it's accepting in. So that's what I'm most excited about. Other than that, obviously, Bitcoin. I'm excited by Bitcoin. I'm excited by Ethereum. I don't know too much about when that like Ethereum 2 is going to come out. Seems like it's been delayed for a while, but seems like a lot's been happening and a lot's been supposed to be happening in all these different, layer one Web3 products. And who knows what's going to happen exactly, but it's all exciting. Let me see. What other questions do you guys have? You can type in the chat. By the way, we're streaming live on YouTube. I'll probably turn this into some kind of a podcast at some point. Just get the audio, extract it, and upload it. But this is live on my second YouTube channel. For now, thoughts on the Elon news? What Elon news are you saying specifically, Andrew? I mean, the man has a lot of news. Are you talking about the Twitter stuff? I mean, as far as the Twitter stuff, I think it's awesome. I mean, everything he's been saying so far, I pretty much agree with. I think free speech is important. I think that it's better than the repercussions of like. I mean, I had a conversation with my pops about it, where he was saying, "Oh no, it's like it could be bad because it's just going to allow like terrorist groups to populate all over the internet." And I'm like, yeah, but also I feel like the benefits of free speech outweigh the cons of like some corporation controlling what can and can't be said and controlling the entire narrative. Which, if you guys know anything about me, and if you've looked into Maxie, and if you've tried Maxie, I'm all about like people controlling their own minds. And like, yeah, if there's some bad ideas out there, then you should be able to have a higher consciousness and think for yourself on that point. But you know, uh, for the most part, I'm a big free speech person. So I think what Elon's doing is cool. Let's see. How do you deal with burnout? Next, watch cop. I'll talk about that in a bit. How do you deal with burnout? I mean, to be honest, I was a little bit burnt out at the beginning of this week, but it was more so I was just like tired and I just kept going. I think stopping caffeine is a really good way to deal with burnout. I think that ultimately a lot of questions kind of go back to the same source, which is if you're being led by some kind of like a higher power or higher purpose, then burnout isn't really a thing that you consider, because it basically just means like if you're following your path, if you're on your mission, if you're a man on your goals and your vision, and you're doing everything you possibly can to provide your unique gifts to the world, you're going to be supplied with a higher level energy, where you don't really require anything like caffeine or Adderall or stimulants, because if you're taking care of your body and you're doing everything you possibly can, you don't need those things that have a downside, right? And that being said, like when the universe is like fueling you with this, like you could call it like God energy, right? Um, it runs out when it needs to run out, and it runs out when it's time. It runs out when it's time for you to take a break. And so I don't really even consider it burnout. It's more so like, okay, have you delivered on everything you need to deliver for the time being? And are you sensitive enough to your own body and your own levels of energy to where you can catch that? And then once you are, okay, then chill for a little bit, right? There's no need to force. I mean, I'm a strong believer in just doing what you're called to be doing, and not doing what you want to do. Right? There's a difference. Doing what you, but the thing is, when you are doing it for a while, you kind of learn that doing what you are called to do ends up being what you want to do anyway. Typically, what you think you want to do is not often aligned, because you're too stuck in the level of thought and not in the current moment, right? Like right now, I could be thinking about what I want to do later, but realistically, I'm here and I'm recording this. And if I allow myself to just be a vessel for that like God-like energy to pull through, I'm not so much worried about what I'm going to do later, because I'm here in the moment. So I'm not thinking at all, right? Like one thought I did have, I would say like a few minutes ago, was like, man, it's so sunny out right now as I'm recording this. I would absolutely love to go out on the roof and like sack tan, to be honest. But I'm recording this, but that's fine because I know that's going to come when the time is right. So nothing is forced. And if you allow nothing to be forced, then burnout isn't really something you consider. I actually talked about this too in a recent podcast where I was like, don't worry about discipline, because discipline is, to me, is doing shit that you don't want to do. But if you're not like, if you're not worried about what you want and you're more so doing what you're called to do, that resistance of, oh, I don't want to do this, doesn't become a problem. So discipline, to me, doesn't really, it doesn't, I'm never worried about discipline. Like, I wake up every day and I work my ass off, but it's because I'm called to do it. And um, because I feel called to do it, it's just like, there's the energy is, it's within me. It's given to me. I don't have to like grind super hard and figure out how to discipline myself. It's like it's I'm called to do this. Like this podcast I'm doing right now, it's effortless. I actually am kind of tired. I feel a little bit under the weather, but I was like, I'm called to do this, and just record. And there's no planning here really whatsoever. I just kind of go by the flow, and that's it. I think the more you're able to dial in on that, the present moment and what you're being called to do now, all of these problems of like discipline and monk mode and all this stuff, it's just, you don't really worry about it. Let's see. Next, watch cop. So if you guys been following my little watch journey, I picked up this sub in London with Elon, and now I'm addicted, and I've been learning a lot. I've been building relationships with dealers, and the current one I'm looking at, I'll give you guys a little sneak preview. It's actually a code 1159, but I don't think I'm gonna get it right now. I'm probably gonna get some kind of an offshore, but here's the code. Comment below what you guys think, cop or no. I posted on my close friends. I mean, I love that. So the face is like a bit more traditional, less like, not what you'd be expecting from AP. But one thing I think is very cool, I was doing a little research on the 1159, is the if you look right here, because you're used to the hexagon shape, the knob on the side, I'm so new to watches, I don't even know exactly what you call it, the dot, whatever the fuck you call it. Someone comment, please help me. That right there is the normal shape of the face of APs. So they like made a little tribute to it, and I think it's cool. It's not necessarily like a super flashy watch. It's more traditional looking, but it is pretty cool. And I'll probably get one eventually, but for now, I am looking for some kind of an offshore. And that's probably going to be the next watch pickup. So if you guys are just popping on here, you can type in the chat and ask me some questions, and I will answer them. And yeah, hope you guys are doing well. What's up, Alex? What's up, Andrew? What's up, Steve? What's up? A couple Alexes. What's up, everybody? Thoughts on Logan Paul's 99 originals? To be honest, I have no idea what Logan Paul's up to these days. Is that an NFT? I have no idea. Let me answer a question I know I got from someone in Tribe Accelerator, which came from a guy named Peyton. Joking aside, could you do a video on finding guys who are actually cool? I'm having an easy time finding college dudes and college girls, but it's hard to find entrepreneur people in my city who aren't all about drugs. Well, this type of question, to be honest, I would say the biggest hack to finding like cool other entrepreneurs is, if you're an entrepreneur yourself, you join mentorship programs. It's the biggest hack, and join a lot of them. I mean, some of my friends that I hang out with there's a few different routes I'd go, but one of them, the easiest shortcut, is just pay for like masterminds, because you're just like, the collective is already made, and because you're investing in yourself, and you're going to meet people that are either in the same business, or, for example, with something like GCC, people are successful. They've been vetted by Iman's team, and you kind of get Iman's vibe. They're going to match that. or someone like something like Tribe Accelerator. Like within Tribe Accelerator, I have a group of guys who learned the content that I taught them, and now they're in Bali with a bunch of chicks. And I mean, they're it's so funny to see like a lot of these guys and the progress that they've made. Um, but here, let me show you what these guys are up to. This guy sent this. So, they're at some villa somewhere and having a good old time. And so, like, you can meet people in these programs and then you can do trips with them. I think another important part is understanding like where to go when, because a lot of people try to like, and I've seen this with some of my friends. I mean, even my friend Jan, who runs Beam, which by the way, Beam is an augmented reality company, and you can do live AR holograms, which is pretty insane. Um, but one thing I noticed about Jan is like he's obviously very smart and very successful, but socially, one of the reasons like me and him like connected is because he saw the value that I could bring him socially and kind of teach him things. And one thing you really have to understand and just figure out like this, just knowing this, even if you don't know the full answer, knowing this thing I'm about to share with you is like will help you save a lot of time. And it's knowing that wherever you are in your city, the people that you want to network with, go to certain restaurants, go to certain clubs, travel to certain locations around the world at the same time. And they are at the places at the same. So, for example, um, most clubs, right, in whatever city, New York, LA, Boston, wherever you are around the world, they have like what's called industry nights. If you think about it, most people, like the 80% of people, average, not to say average, but like people who are working 9 to 5 and maybe making under $100,000 a year, they're going out Friday nights and Saturday nights because they work all week and then they're tired and they want to get drunk on the weekends. Industry nights are for people who make more than I would say like two, three, four, $500,000 a year, more than that, typically millionaires or beyond. And they don't go out on Friday and Saturday because they don't really want to be around the folks that are kind of just there Friday and Saturday. So they go out typically on like when will people who are in the 9 to 5 life not go out? Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So those are like nights when the more successful people go out. And that's just a small example of understanding it, but it applies to a greater level as well. So if you think about like something like Coachella, right? You know that if you go to Coachella weekend one, that's typically where more of the I don't want to say cooler crowd, but if you ask the vast majority of people, at least that are in my circle, they're all going to tell you, oh, go weekend one, nobody goes weekend two. Right. And then when you go, if you have access to an artist band, it's far better than having access to a VIP band. So you have to know some of these little things and basically just put yourself in the right situations rather than trying to build this stuff from scratch. So, small example, not to throw Jan under the bus, but like Jan was he had a party one time here at this house, and it's a beautiful house. And he tried to throw it from 7. We're in LA. He tried to throw the party from 7 p.m. to midnight. And I told him from the start, I was like, 7 p.m. No one's gonna come at 7 p.m. People in LA, that's not the flow. Like the cool people are at dinner at sometime between 7 and 10 p.m. and then they go to probably a club and then an after party after that. Or if it's a house party, is going to be at 10 p.m. all the way till 3, 4, 5 a.m. So you can't expect that you can like rewire things how they actually already flow. Kind of goes with what I was saying earlier. You just got to be in the moment and respect that there is a flow to things, and you just have to put yourself in the flow. Like you have to be like water. You can't try to paddle upstream. You're not going to go anywhere. So we have a few other questions here. What are the upsides of having college friends over business entrepreneur friends? I can't really think of too many, to be honest, Alex. But I will say some of my friends. Well, I mean, don't get me wrong. I love the friends that I made in college. I still keep in touch with a few of them, but very few of my college friends do I still talk to today, just because they're in a completely different life trajectory and don't really do the same things. I mean, they live in the same city 80% of the year. They're working for somebody else that in a job they don't necessarily love, and there's not much to. I don't know, like what could I possibly even do? Like I'm going to Tuesday. I'm going to Monaco for F1, and then I'm going to you know Europe the rest of the next 2 months. It's like they got work. Like what are we gonna do? So aside from like a FaceTime catch up here and there. Um, so it's hard to say unless like the friends in college that you have also have the same mindset of like, I don't want the normal lifestyle. I want something more. And by the way, I don't want to rash on the like make under 100K a year, like get your white picket fence house, like the traditional American dream. There's nothing wrong with that if that's what you're happy with. To be honest, I think that people who are excited and happy about that may even have that better. Like I have friends, actually, I have some very good friends from college now that I'm just a lot going on. I couldn't even remember, but I have some good friends that are like married at 25. They have the white picket fence and they make, I don't know, 100, 200K a year and they're super, super happy. And that's all they want. If that's all you want, great. And you're happy with that, great. It's hard for me to fit someone like that into my life if you're not coming on the trips that I'm coming on, and if you don't have like the aspirations that I do. I guess what, the Buddha says though is that desire is the cause of unhappiness. So maybe the fact that I want more means that I'm unhappy, but I don't think so. I'm pretty happy. um, okay, another question. This one comes from Alex. Do you stay in touch with friends who are entrepreneurs, like any high school, college friends? Yeah, absolutely. I definitely do. It's just like I just said, it's hard to like fit them in because even if I did invite them places, it's like they can't go because they're tied down to a job that isn't remote. Um, I feel like event to event building is the key to building a business or platform. Yeah, I mean, having live events as part of your business is definitely helpful. I just had one out here in Los Angeles. At this house, we had like 40 or so people here, and it was awesome. We had a couple different guest speakers come. Adam Horowitz was one of them. We had Jan speak, and a guy from my team, Daniel, and it was great. I mean, it's amazing to like coach people online. Like you guys are on this call online, by the way. Like in Tribe Accelerator, for example, I'm very used to doing Q&A calls like this. I do several a week, and so I get to talk to people like this, but I can see their faces. And then doing that for like the first several months of the year, and then having a live event where I get to see them in person. It's so cool to like have that connection already built. And then it's also cool because it makes it very real and like you become a real person and people network from within that community. And next thing you know, there's a bunch of guys and they're in Bali together with, you know, having a bunch of fun and stuff like that. Arlin, what's your monthly rev now with Maxie? Would you recommend a software health lifestyle business? Would I mean, I'm not gonna share my exact revenue. I can tell you if thousands of people go through the Maxi system. So I mean, you can do your math on that. Although I will say I have had it at different price points. Um, and would I recommend it? Yeah, I mean, to be honest, like I would say Maxi, although it hasn't it hasn't made me the most money. Um, that Maxi has been probably the most successful thing I've ever done in terms of what I perceive to be success, which is like impact. I mean, like the amount of messages that I've gotten from people about how Maxi has changed their life, whether it's helped them overcome depression, help them overcome insomnia, help them overcome social anxiety, help them be focused so that they can build a business and make money. Like it's literally like this limitless pill that people use. And it's crazy that I didn't even pay a developer to do it. Like I built it myself on Zapier. Um, that's just, by the way, if you guys are interested, it's mindsetdesign.com. There's like a 20, 30-minute video you can watch about it and my whole story. I put a lot of work into that. But is it something I recommend? Yeah. I mean, that's a thing too, going back to what I was saying originally, that like I had a calling for. I had no choice but to create Maxi because it was something that was boiling inside me for years. I mean, really like my whole life. And so I had to create it. And to be completely honest, it's not even close to where it's going to be. I mean, I would say around this time next year is when I'm going to really bring on like a full-time dev team. Um, and just continuously iterate. And I'm going to have millions of people on it. It's nowhere near and I have so many visions in my head of like what I'm going to put into it, that it's not a main focus right now, but you guys will see. It's going to be very, very cool. It's all in the master vision. What are your thoughts on having tips for new team members? What are your thoughts? What are your hiring tips for new team members currently trying to automate a biz with a team? Do you care if a new team member has an entrepreneurial spirit? I actually do care if a team member has an entrepreneurial spirit, because there's some roles in entrepreneurship that really don't, like in your business, that aren't suited for entrepreneurship. That aren't suited for your business. Like, you wouldn't want, for example, a sales guy with like a crazy entrepreneurial spirit, because what can happen is they might think like, oh, well, I'll just go start my own business. Like, why am I doing sales for this person when I can start my own? When maybe they don't really realize how much extra fucking work it is to build the audience, make all the content, do stuff like this, have even the skill set to be able to sit here and talk for 30 minutes unfiltered and have actually good content come out and have people listen to this. And, eventually thousands of people download this. And like this takes years to, anyway. But if you have people who are like too entrepreneurial, they aren't the best fit. I mean, my Jack, for example, Jack Bratzett, he's a great kid, who worked with me for several months, and I taught him a lot about video. He helped me a lot with my channel and my course stuff, and I actually invited him to be my filmer in Europe. Which, if you ask me, and I told him this transparently, I was like, dude, like, you're kind of crazy if you don't take this offer. But he's so entrepreneurial himself that he's like, no, I kind of want to like build my own thing. And like, whenever you hear people say, I want to build my own thing, it's just like they're probably not going to be the best person to like join your movement, because they want to build their own. And I have no problem with him doing it. I support whatever he feels he's called to do. But when it comes to hiring, people who are like too entrepreneurial aren't necessarily hires that I've found. Another thing I do is that I have the luxury of doing is I can hire people who've already bought my programs and products. I mean, I don't think I've ever, like, why would I hire a salesperson for my product that hasn't bought my product? When they already, like, I have plenty of salespeople who've bought my product, who have bought it, gotten results. Like, I mean, when I bring on new sales guys, and I've tested this with like 5 or 6 different sales guys, they almost all close within the first 3 calls already, and they're already good at closing. Because why? Because they've already been in the program, and half of sales is conviction. And if they're like, oh yeah, I mean, I literally went through the whole course for like 3 months. It's the most incredible course I've ever taken on social skills and personal development and dating. And they're like, yeah, like, you should buy it. It's like, it's just so easy to sell. So that's what I have the luxury of doing, because I, I have a following, and I have plenty of people in my stuff. So, the principle in that is make sure that you find people who really believe in what you're doing. If people don't have a core belief and actually a calling to sell and talk about what you're selling, it's a lot harder for them to sell, because they don't have the conviction and like the sole purpose of promoting your product, or whatever role that you have them in your company. I think as like a leader, and this is just part of my personality type too, I'm always reminding my team of like the greater purpose and the grander mission, and the principles behind what you're doing, and making sure that they know that like even little actions are leading to this large machine that we've built, and overall pushing a greater purpose forward, so that they don't feel lost in the sauce. So yeah. By the way, I like how some of you guys are hitting the like button. If you are watching right now, there's like 20 people live right now. Hit the like button. It's super helpful, I think. I don't know. I think I'm going to put my hat back on. Don't drink Coca-Cola. It's really bad for you, but this hat's kind of cool. All right. What are your thoughts? What's the best way to link with birds during trips and holidays? Depends on your income level, to be honest, because probably the best way is to have solid social media, learn how to reach out to girls on Instagram and see if they'll respond based on your social media, and then just offer to fly them to wherever you are, and they can bring a friend. That's the easiest shortcut to do it. And then if you ever fly a girl that you're interested out somewhere, don't be a creepo and like only have one room available and like you're like, oh, sorry, like there's one bed, we got to stay together. Like, got to be honest with yourself and be like, okay, this girl's maybe attractive, but from my perspective, like I don't know who she is. She might be not my type. So from that perspective, then also like just respect, give them their own room. Don't, and this is why like it helps to have money because you can do these kind of things and it just makes for a more fun experience in general. If you don't have, if you aren't making over $300,000 a year and you don't have the luxury of being able to like fly people out, what you can do is you can meet them while they're there. This is also the power of having a strong social media presence, something I teach heavily in Tribe Accelerator. And when you have a strong social media presence, it's very easy to just reach out and invite people to do things, girls to do things, invite birds to do things. But that being said, you need to have fun things to invite them to. So that goes back to what I was saying a bit earlier, connecting back where, when you understand that there's certain nights to go out, there's certain places to go, there's also certain restaurants that certain girls like to hang out with. Like, I'm in LA, attractive girls like to work out at Dog Pound. So if you move to LA and you're brand new here, and you want to meet pretty girls, get a membership at Dog Pound. Don't get a membership at Gold's Gym or LA Fitness. I mean, you might find some pretty girls there. I'm sure you will. There's pretty girls everywhere in a city like LA. But if you want to meet like very, very pretty girls, then you get a membership at Dog Pound. And that's just what you do. Don't go against the flow. Like another thing, pretty girls like Erewhon. Erewhon is a grocery store. So rather than shopping at Ralph's, shop at Erewhon. Pretty girls are, if you walk in Erewhon at literally any time, any Erewhon, anywhere, there's going to be, you will walk by 5 very, very pretty girls. And they're probably, they're all putting good food in their body because Erewhon is just a very healthy store. Chances are they're going to be good chicks. So the principle is that you have to know where to go. And this is a lot of what I talk about in Tribe Accelerator, but that's the main idea. Okay. Any other questions? Maybe we'll do a couple more to wrap this up. But let me see if I have any queued up from my Discord that I was mentioning earlier. But yeah, you guys can just put questions down below here. And I don't know if that's exactly where it is. It might be down there for you guys if I look funny doing this. For me, it's right here. So, okay. Question from Wesley. Wesley says, how do you 80-20 your work? Feel like I spend time on things I believe will benefit, but after I've spent time on it, it was never beneficial. How do you 80-20 your work? Okay, and then Alex asks, so these two. How do you 80-20 your work? Feel like I spend time on things I believe will benefit, but after I've spent time on it, it was never beneficial. I think Wesley, I believe I answered this question on my previous podcast. So you guys should definitely go check out the podcast on Spotify or Apple. It's just Mindset Design Podcast, Arlin Moore. You could probably type in either of those and find it. But how do you 80-20? This is partly what's really good about having a mentor is a mentor can tell you which 80-20 activities to focus on, like which minority of actions are going to lead to the vast majority of results. But a lot of it also comes down to just experimentation and continuously and repeatedly asking yourself, which small activities have I done in the past that have resulted in an asymmetric return, right? So for example, if you're trying to generate leads for your coaching business, right? Let's say you just joined Course Builder, which is another business that I have with Adam, and you're starting a course and you're trying to get people to sign up for your course. You need to try a bunch of different ways to generate leads. Maybe you try a podcast, maybe you try a TikTok, maybe you try Instagram Reels, maybe you try a blog, and you do all of those for a month. And then you try different strategies. Maybe you try outbound prospecting, and then you can have just very simple way to do it. If you have like a survey, like a Calendly link with questions in the survey that are asking, for example, like, where did you come from? And it could say TikTok, or it could say Arlin's Instagram, or it could say YouTube. And that way, when people sign up for a sales call with you, you're able to track them and basically see where people are coming from. And you'll also be able to see as well, just based on the amount of calls that are being booked. You have to have, essentially, when you're doing 80-20 analysis of your business, you have to have a particular way of tracking where the asymmetric returns are coming from, and you have to know which metrics to track, right? Like if you, I mean, the end result is obviously sales. So maybe, you are able to test that, like if you have a coaching business, you put out like in a month, you focus on podcasting, right? Like actually for me, I know when I do more podcasts, my businesses make more money and it might not generate more leads. Like if I want to generate more leads, I'd focus on TikTok. And I'm doing all of them right now. I mean, I have teams in place to do all of this, but I can post a TikTok, get 2 million views or 500,000 views, or every video gets like over 10,000 views. My my podcasts that I do, they are 20 to 40 to 60 minutes long, and they maybe get like 2,000 downloads. And like, who knows how many of those 2,000 people sit there and listen to the whole thing. But of those people, those are buyers. Those are people that are actually going to turn into customers. So I actually know, and I'm a bit more intuitive. I mean, luckily now with Course Builder and everything I'm doing with Adam, we're going to have a bit more of an analytical person. It's part of the company to help really out which actions are leading to the best results. And then there's also software companies like Hyros that can help with lead tracking. And I know you might not even have a course business, but I hope the model of thinking is helpful, where you're able to see just by like how I'm explaining this, that you need to be able to track where your actions are leading to asymmetric returns. And it just comes down to tracking. I've always done it a bit more, not so much intuitively, but observationally, and that may not lead to the most accurate data. But I'm always journaling. Like almost every day, I journal. Every week, I'll probably ask myself, like, within Maxie, this is why Maxie is effective. It's a mental reprogramming tool, but it's also a planning tool, and it asks you questions in 80-20 lens. So, I mean, how many people think about which small actions generate asymmetric returns? Maxie asks you questions about your social life, about your relationships, your business, your greater mission and vision, your wealth, and your health. And like for every single one of those areas, imagine if every single night and every week you're asking yourself 80-20 questions and looking for which actions you can do tomorrow to get asymmetric returns. That's how you speed up faster than everyone else around you, who's literally thinking average and is doing what everyone else is doing. That was a lot, but I hope that was helpful. Let me see. Okay, Alex said, tips for when you first start making good money with your business. Any mistakes that you made? Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think there's a lot of different answers to this question. I've always spent a lot on marketing to like push my brand forward. But I think that you can find like something marketing have asymmetric returns. I think that one thing I wish I did a lot earlier was make a short form content team, because it's really not that difficult to do. You can pay someone in, the Philippines $10 per short form video and like give them access to your TikTok or Instagram Reels account, and they can then upload all the content for you. And I mean, who knows? Maybe I'd have millions of followers if I started doing this, 5 years ago. Which isn't necessarily like a metric that I even care about that much. I don't particularly want to be super, super famous. It's kind of annoying. I've been famous within a specific group of people when I was in college, and it was weird. I don't like not being able to like go to a coffee shop and have people, staring at you. It's weird. It's just, I didn't like that. But going back to your question, when you first start making money, I mean, like I've always put money into marketing. The other thing you can do is just save a lot for like 2 or 3 years. And then once you have like a couple million in the bank, you have so many options to scale. And then as you're scaling, you're making so much money, it's almost hard for you to like spend it all on your lifestyle. So it really depends. And it goes back to the central thing I always say, but like you kind of have to listen to that higher level calling, which could be something you connect through prayer, something you connect to through meditation or yoga or something like that. But you have to have a sense of like, what is the path for you? Because to be honest, there's so many different ways to do this, and you don't want to do what everyone else is doing, but you don't necessarily want to do just what I've done. So like a really good movie I would highly recommend everyone watch, and I'll probably leave it off on this, is the movie King Richard. I just watched it. King Richard, it's about Selena and Venus's dad and how he raised them and how he had this vision that he was unique. Like he had a plan and a vision, and he didn't give a fuck what anybody else was saying or about how to raise daughters and playing tennis. and Serena and Venus, like if you guys know anything about tennis, and unless you've been living under a rock, like they obviously are the most winning tennis athletes of all time. And he did everything super unconventionally, but he didn't care because he had the higher calling. He had a connection to this vision, and um, that was it. He followed it. So you have to follow that. I can't. I can give you some sort of recommendations, but whether it's saving all your money for a couple years so that you can then deploy it later, or whether it's spending it all. I mean, if you ask my friend Riva Tez, who I'm hanging out with tonight, I'm actually hanging out with Riva and the author of Harassment Architecture, Mike Ma, tonight at this party, and they if you ask Riva like what should you do with the money, she'd literally be like, spend it all so that you can convince yourself and have the proof to yourself that you can make it all back. Like if you have any urge to spend money, spend it. And then, and actually, I do agree with this. Like, if you have the urge to spend money, don't be frugal. Don't be like, oh, I don't know. Like, because that energy that you're putting out in the moment that you say you don't know if you can afford it or not is basically communicating to your subconscious that you don't believe you can make it back. So I'll leave you with that thought. We've had a nice 45-minute podcast here. Um, Hope you guys have enjoyed. If you did, drop another thumbs up on this video. I'll do another one of these soon because it's kind of fun. I mean, I'm going to be traveling a lot, but we'll have mic stands wherever we are and nice mics and nice audio. And head over to the link in the description of this as well, hoo.be/Arlin. There's some nice offers for you guys there too. Appreciate you all, guys. Appreciate all of you guys. Say thank you in the chat so I can see people are active. But both Alexes, thank you guys. Thank you guys for listening. If you guys are listening to this later, great. Maybe I'll do more of these live on YouTube or whatever. But hope you guys have an incredible rest of your day. Cheers and peace.